its content. Josh Jelinski is the president of Wealth Quarterback LLC, a registered investment advisory firm located in New Jersey. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm or its representatives by securities regulators, nor is it an indication that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Investment advisory services may only be provided to clients in jurisdictions in which the firm and its representatives are appropriately registered or exempt from registration. You should not assume that any discussion or information contained in this broadcast serves as the receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice from the advisor. Different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that the future performance of any specific investment, investment strategy, or product, or any non-investment related content made reference to directly or indirectly in this broadcast will be profitable, equal any corresponding indicated historical performance level or levels, be suitable for your portfolio or individual situation, or prove successful. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Investment advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC. Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jelinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jelinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jelinski.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback, taking your calls on all matters financial. There's a new dynamic in the housing market that both buyers and sellers are fueling. Canceled home sales surge as fed-up buyers and sellers walk away. And U.S.-China trade talks. Can China reduce its export dependence? And we're going to talk about what to do when the market seems unreasonably high. The market just keeps going up. There are a lot of worries in the economy. Why does it keep going up even though you're worrying, and what you can do about it? And taxes. What are some tax tips in light of the Trump tax code? The new Trump tax plan, the big, beautiful bill, and what you can do about it. And as always, I love to hear from you at 800-321-0710 if you have questions on all matters financial. This is your show. Give us a call, 800-321-0710. You can ask me any financial education question you have. We're also going to talk about income. How do you generate income in retirement? And 5 ways to potentially reduce your RMDs as you age, especially after 73. What can you do if you don't like RMDs? So that and more, call us 800-321-0710. And Powell and Trump are at it again. This time on the new, is it the new addition or the new Fed building? What is this? And I'll give you my take on that. So we're being joined in the studio by James Minutella. Why are you laughing when I say James? Do you prefer Jim or James?
I like Jim.
You like Jim?
I like Jimmy Boy.
I like James.
I know.
Good.
It sounds
Good name.
distinguished when it's James.
He's a friend of mine.
Sound like a distinguished gentleman named James. A Jim? Everybody's a Jim. No, I love Jim. So, okay, so we got Jim and we got Richard.
Be careful.
Richard Widmer and James Minutella are joining us in the studio. And so maybe we'll do a 2-minute drill. If you have, do you have a 2-minute drill prepared today, Richard?
There's always something prepared.
There's always something prepared. Even if it's not prepared.
It has to be 2 minutes this time.
Even if it's not prepared, it's prepared.
Okay. So, folks, Trump is telling Europe to get their act together. Why don't we have a EU-US trade deal? Intensive negotiations are continuing before a crunch meeting in Scotland between Donald Trump and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to avert a costly trade war. Trump spent the night at his family-owned Turnberry Golf Resort on a private visit, but took the time to criticize European leaders over wind turbines and immigration, claiming there won't be a Europe unless they get their act together. I say there won't be, that's funny, there won't be Europe. Say two things to Europe. Stop the windmills. You're ruining your countries. I really mean it. It's so sad. You fly over and you see these windmills all over the place, ruining your beautiful fields and valleys and killing your birds. On immigration, you better get your act together. You're not going to have Europe anymore. On Saturday morning, he abandoned a scheduled meeting with the press, who traveled with him on Air Force One for a round of golf at a seaside course, with music blaring from the buggy he drove. Songs included Billy Joel's Uptown Girl, Elaine Page's Memory, and Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. Wonder, he should publish his playlist. That'd be funny. The Trump Spotify playlist. Billed as a 4-day visit, Trump is meeting EU leaders and the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, raising hopes of new and refined trade deals with the EU and the UK. So let's talk with your financial questions. 800 321 0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, now, most of you, your number one asset, we're going to talk a little income planning and tax mitigation strategies. So if you have questions on those things, give us a call. So income planning, many of you don't know how to properly convert your assets that you've worked hard for into a stream of income. So you could do a lot of things to get income. You could construct a portfolio and live on 4% of your money. So if you blend a strategic asset allocation, let's say you have $2 million, $3 million bucks, 4%, we'll just do a mythic person with $2 million bucks managed in IRAs and non-IRAs, excluding home equity. If you have $2 million bucks at 4%, gives you 80 grand a year. You might go, man, I saved $2 million and all I'm going to enjoy is 80 grand a year. Well, that 4% rule was created by a man named William Bengen in what was called the famous Trinity study. And in the famous Trinity study, he talks, if you want a safe withdrawal rate so that you leave $2 million to your heirs, but that might not be you. You might not want to leave $2 million to your heirs. You might say, they get whatever they get. So I'm not sure. I don't know what, where your thoughts are on legacy, but some people don't want to leave $2 million. They just want to leave whatever's left. There's another strategy called the 8.8% rule. Right now, I just looked yesterday with somebody who was about 69, and on a 340 grand account, they got 30 grand a year. If you take 30 and divide it into 340, that gives you an 8.8% yield. That's phenomenal. Now, conditions apply, and it's not right for everybody. But if you're looking for a maximum of income enjoyment, you could probably get a conservative 8.8% as a yield, which is pretty powerful stuff. So how do you do that? Well, the 4% rule is if you have $2 million bucks and you want to leave that to your heirs. So you blend a strategy of growth and income. The 8% rule is if you put a portion in something like an annuity. Now, annuities are backed by the claims paying ability of the underlying insurance company. So you want to make sure you pick a highly rated one. You don't want to pick Rattlesnake Life Insurance Company unless they were A+ rated by AM Best, Standard & Poor's, or another highly creditable rating agency. So what happens is you put money in, for that example, 340 grand, you wait a year, and then contractually they're obligated to give you 30 grand a year if you live 40 years, if you live 30. Your income cannot run out. What's the negative? Well, if your goal is income, it's great. There are generally terms and conditions. So you generally waiting period on an annuity, something like a year before you turn income on. And there's something called a surrender charge schedule. So you generally have to keep it there for 5 years before you can walk away with your money. If you want to walk away before 5 years, or 7 or 10, depending on the terms and conditions of the annuity, you would be able to take up to 10% without a penalty, with no fee. But if you walked away, there would be a surrender charge. Generally, they're up to 9%, 9 or 10% if you want to bail on the whole thing. Generally, you don't want to do that. If you're considering that, well, then you should look at more something like the 4% rule, where you can put it in highly liquid things. You don't want to put all your eggs in that basket. But if you're looking for income, you could look at annuities. Now, I don't like every annuity. I don't like higher fee annuities. I don't like annuities when you die, the money goes to the insurance company. But there are annuities that give you income, and then when you pass, there's a death benefit that goes to your wife or children, or husband or children, however you want to. You can name beneficiaries. It bypasses probate. So number one, the 4% rule is a way to get income. Number two, annuities are a way to get income. Number three, you could look at dividends off of a portfolio. You could buy utilities that pay a 5% dividend, live off that. And the goal is you construct at my SEC registered RIA, Wealth Quarterback, we have a dividend paying program. And the goal is to have it diversified across different industries, across different stocks, and the average dividend to be about 5%. So in that example, you put $2 million in, you get $100 grand a year. Now, the principal can fluctuate because you're in the stock market. And by the way, you shouldn't necessarily put all of it in one strategy. You could diversify strategy. Put a third in dividends, a third in annuity, a third in a traditional 4% rule type portfolio. See what you like better. Different people like different things. Different strokes for different folks. So you have dividends. You have individual stocks that pay good dividend. You have funds that pay good dividend. You have ETFs that pay good dividend now that don't pay commission. Or generally, if you're dealing with a fiduciary, there'd be a fiduciary fee of around 1% for having that person manage your money. So there's a whole portfolio design when you're looking at income. So you look at withdrawal strategies, like 4%. You could look at annuities, and you could look at income off of stocks. When we return, we'll be back with your questions at 800-321-0710. And if anything I'm saying, if you want the no obligation, all heart, no regrets, legendary retirement game plan review so that you have a legendary retirement, give us a call now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, and we'll audit your portfolio from a perspective of income, taxes, and growth. When we return, we'll be back with your questions, 800-321-0710. This is your show. I love to talk to you, the listener. We'll be back after these messages.
Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. for a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
And we're back. We're talking about everything you want to know. Here's a question. Does the new $6,000 additional deduction for seniors under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OBA, also apply if the senior itemizes their taxes? The new $6,000 standard deduction is for seniors age 65 and older for years 25 through 28. This is per person, so a married couple could deduct $12,000 if each spouse is 65 or older. This is in addition to the regular standard deduction and the extra deduction for those age 65 or blind. The new deduction will also be available to seniors who itemize. Note that the deduction phases out beginning with modified adjusted gross incomes of $70,000, $75,000 for individuals and $150,000 for married filing jointly. It phases out completely at $175,000 for individuals, $250,000 for married couples, respectively. Now, what is the planning import here? Ed Slott in an article talks about some of that. We'll get into that later. But the concept that got me thinking about this is if you pull money out, let's say you're doing a conversion, it may make conversions less appetizing. Because if you do a Roth conversion and it gets your income above $250,000, you don't get this senior deduction. So it will make, so this is why I always say you don't want to go it alone in retirement planning, because you move one step and now there's another landmine. So you just don't want to blindly, let's say you put together a nice Roth conversion plan. I'm going to convert X number of year for the next 5 years. Well, now you have to throw out your plan. You have to redo your whole plan. So call us at 888-988-JOSH if you want a Roth conversion plan. Here's another question. This is from IRAhelp.com, kind of an interesting question. Hello, I have a SEP IRA annuity which was opened in 2011. By the way, if you're doing SEPs, self-employment pension, you should consider doing a solo 401k instead. We found that that's a little better. I'm age 74. I'm considering doing a full conversion of the total SEP to a Roth, from annuity to annuity, but you can do a SEP to a Roth, while keeping all the particulars of the annuity policy the same. Now, by the way, you have to make sure the annuity company lets you do that. Not everybody lets you do that. After paying the tax on that total conversion amount, do I have to wait 5 years after the conversion for the monies to become totally tax-free? I have already established a Roth and am over the age of 59 and a half. Now, we are operating under the assumption that the Roth previously established was open for 5 years because that's the 5-year rule. And since you're over 59 and a half, and you already have a Roth IRA open for 5 years, then you never have to wait out another 5-year clock. There's that 5-year clock on the Roth rule. Upon converting, your SEP IRA annuity to a Roth IRA, any and all future earnings will be immediately available for withdrawal tax and penalty free. Just be sure you take your required minimum distribution before doing the conversion. So we're going to take your phone calls all hour. Next up, we have Anthony. Go ahead. Is this Mr. Anthony? Go ahead.
Hey, hi, Josh.
Hey.
My question is about the income cap guidelines for the new senior deduction. Does that actually include the money you're getting from Social Security in the cap?
It's based on Magi. So there's Magi is your critical financial metric used by the IRS. It is calculated by taking your AGI, or adjusted gross income, and adding back certain deductions, such as IRA contributions and loan interest. It also impacts tax brackets, healthcare premiums, and the like. I think like half of your Social Security is included in that, but I'll get the formula for you.
Because that's critical, because this is only going to really help very few people. It's not really gonna help middle class
it's a game
people.
changer. No, it helps. By the way, massive game changer. If you're married and you make under 250 grand, it helps you. Yeah, I don't see it at all. I think it's a great benefit. Now, do I want a flat tax, 15%? But Magi includes the taxable portion of your Social Security benefits. So non-taxable Social Security benefits are not included in the Magi calculation, which is important for determining your eligibility. So, for example, most people who make over 44 grand a year, 85% of your Social Security is included in the formula. You make under 44 grand, you could have 0 or you could have 50 depending on the thresholds. If you wanted to give me a breakdown of a hypothetical person, I could kind of walk you through it. But think about this. Let's say you make, I don't know, what do you make in Social Security? 60 grand.
Well, I'm going to be taking it next year. I didn't get it yet.
Do you know
but
the
it's gonna be
approximate
over
amount?
30,000.
Let's say it's
Over 30.
okay.
Over 30.
Okay. Are you married or single?
Married.
Okay, so if you're married, what is your spouse going to make Social Security? She didn't take it yet.
Not going to be eligible for it, so that's another issue.
Okay, so if you have 30,000 in income, approximately what's your other income sources?
It's going to be over 100.
Okay, so let's say it's 100. Is it 100 plus 30, so 130 or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 85% of your 30. You take 30 grand times 8.85. That's 25 grand plus your 100. You'd be at 125,500 of income. You're below the 250 threshold. You get the deduction.
But then the other issue is then if you start taking money from your IRAs or 401ks, then that could put you over the income cap.
Exactly. But you got to be careful about that. So that's why you need to kind of do planning. So that's where I said Roth conversions now. If you had this plan, I'm going to convert every year for the next 10 years, you got to rethink of that because you got to fall below the 150. So
But the point is that that's why it's not going to really benefit the middle class that
it
much.
will though. Look, let's say you 125 in the example. You have 150 is the threshold, is the first threshold. You're under the threshold. You get the deduction.
It's still kind of close, but I'm appreciative of it, but it's still kind of close.
Yeah, I don't like a Swiss cheese appealing of deductions. I think we should just go to a 15% flat tax or something with maybe an increased standard deduction and kind of do away with all these things that go away. And but I didn't write the tax code.
Interject one other thing.
But here's the thing. It's a massive benefit because think about this. You're at 125.5, right? you get the 6,500. Also, if you're 125, if your spouse, if you are under, well, you said your spouse is under 65, right? You're at 119, then you get an increased 3,200 deduction, then you get, I think it's 31,500. You're only paying tax on like 84 grand. So you could Roth in that example, let's say 25 grand. But you don't want to Roth more than 25 grand because then you could kill the deductions. So I think it's a massive benefit. You go from paying tax on 125 to paying tax on like 84 grand. That's huge. It's a very big benefit if you make under 150 or under. If you make over it, you start to lose stuff. So that's why I'm a big advocate of flat taxes and just do away with all this Swiss cheese.
We should be urging our politicians to also address the IRMA, the extra Medicare tax. That wasn't addressed in this bill.
Yeah, IRMA, though, I mean, IRMA is the income-related Medicare adjustment. That's another thing you got to think about. So this is actually good for my it's good for my company because you need us, because this is like very complicated. You have the standard deduction, right? You have the senior deduction. You have the increased standard deduction. You have the IRMA now you got to worry about. Like you could do this alone, but why? It's a lot of work. So, but I think for the average senior making 150 or under, married filing jointly, a lot of great benefits. Really, really beneficial for seniors because if your wife is under 65, you get your $6 grand, plus you get the first senior deduction, plus you get the 31,500 increased marital deduction. That means that on 40 or 50 grand of your income, you don't pay tax. I mean, that's why, that's why I think they should have a flat tax or something like that. So if I ran for president or Congress, I would have a three-tiered tax system, no loopholes, set asides. You would get a max 20% bracket for the highest earners, a 15% for people making between a certain amount, and then a 10 for everybody else. If God wants 10% with the tithe, the government shouldn't be able to live on more than that for most people. So, but I wouldn't have all these deductions. It would be a flat. Maybe you have a standard deduction of the first, 50 grand you're not paying income tax on, but anything above that you're paying 10%. So people got to pay a little bit. You got to have a little skin in the game. But what's happening here is it's a very pro-senior bill because seniors are the biggest voting bloc, and you got to juggle all these new thresholds. That's for sure. Any other questions, Anthony? Okay, we're going to go to Gordon. After we return from the break, is there a real trade deal with the UK? When we return, this is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Chalinsky to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Chalinsky.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
We're back. This is Josh Chalinsky, the Financial Quarterback. Next up, we have Gordon, and we're taking your calls at 800-321-0710. If you have a question, now's the time to chime in. Talking one big, beautiful bill. We're talking your financial questions. Go ahead, Gordon.
Well, Josh, since you led off your show, your usually great show, with Trump's trip to Europe to discuss trade with the European Union, if memory serves me, Trump signed some sort of a trade bill with Great Britain a while ago, and I don't know how much it helped Great Britain, because ever since they've been out of the EU, it seems to me they've had to kowtow to the United States' wishes. I wonder what you thought of that.
Well, there was a big trade deal, I want to say around May or June. There were tariff reductions. So this was something that really wasn't spoken about by much of the media, but the big, massive UK-US trade deal, tariffs on UK automotive imports and auto parts were reduced from 27.5% to 10% by the end of June. And the U.S. will create a quota of 100K UK cars annually as agreed to under the general terms. The UK government press release noted that the quota of 100,000 UK cars equals the total number the UK exported to the U.S. in 2024. However, any cars exported above the quota will be subject to a 27.5% tax, which effectively establishes a ceiling for the number of cars the UK can export competitively. But they weren't selling more cars than that. So that was a big win for the UK. They got a 10% tariff on automotive. There was a steel and aluminum. In the general terms, this is from Skadden.com. So a lot of things. There was a double tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports from 25 to 50%, granted the UK a carve-out from the measure, stating the U.S. tariffs on UK steel and aluminum will remain at 25%. So there was a lot here where pharmaceutical products, aerospace, because UK has Rolls-Royce and some other big companies that benefit there. And they established a tariff-free bilateral trade in certain aerospace products. That's huge. People don't talk about that. UK is one of big manufacturers of jet engines. There's a massive benefit. So, the UK-US trade deal was, as the president would say, huge. And I think it's something that really people didn't talk about. So
I haven't heard much about it.
There's a whole structure here that I could go on, but it would bore people. But the UK really got decent terms. And EU is kind of dragging their feet with the wind. Trump's funny with the windmills. He is. I think what he means is when you fly into Europe, you flew into Europe this year, Jim. Did you see a bunch of windmills? I always see. I mean, I don't go to Europe a ton, but whenever I do, I did notice a ton of windmills all over the place.
No, I didn't notice them this year.
Depends where you go. Though.
Yeah.
You go to Romania, so it's a little different than.
Yep.
I think when I flew into Germany or Vienna or some of those Central European countries, there was a ton of those windmills everywhere. I hope he bans the windmills off the Jersey Shore.
I
since
thought
he
they
doesn't
did. I
like-
thought they did stop that.
They say they did, but
That would look,
I don't
that
think,
would look horrible.
There's eye pollution. And these, what's crazy too? Talk about American jobs. New Jersey had all these windmill deals, and they weren't even U.S. companies. They were like European companies. So, hope that helps you. Thank you, Gordon, so much for the call, folks. We're going to take your calls at 800-321-0710. Next up, we're going to talk about Trump accounts. The new, so the summer of 2025, this is from Sarah Brenner. I know nothing of this show, but I thought it was a funny article. Anybody watch the show Love Island? It's a hit TV show. I've never seen it, don't want to see it. I think those shows are overdone, like The Bachelor, That was big 20 years ago. I don't know if it's still big, but so summer of 2025, this is from Sarah Brenner, brought us the new season of the hit TV show Love Island. When a new contestant arrives on this popular reality dating show, its viewers know that another hot bombshell has entered the villa. The summer of 2025 has also brought us the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And with the new law's arrival, another hot bombshell enters the tax-advantaged account villa. Wow, this person was very creative to think about this.
That's very creative.
Trump now joins Trump accounts. Now join the ranks of the many ways Americans can save using IRAs and Roths and individual accounts. So we're going to go over some of these alphabet soup of investing. And there was a time when jobs offered pensions and health insurance with little or no out-of-pocket expenses. College tuition could be paid with earnings from a summer job. Those days are gone. And more Americans are finding themselves on their own to save and pay for things that previous generations were lucky enough to have little or no cost. The one thing I have a problem with these articles, though, is like they look at the bygone era, all the good old days. People were, my grandmother, she was washing out her Ziploc bags and hanging them on the I think they still do that, but, some people still do that. But the thing is, like, it wasn't necessarily like these people had it made, right? They had a pension. They got like $5 a month on their pension. These accounts can help those who can afford to make contributions. And now there are many different options available. And the new one is the Trump account. Kind of reminds me of the Trumpy bear. Everybody see that bear with the comb over? You ever buy that, Richard? That the Trumpy bear?
The Trumpy bear.
Anybody ever see that commercial?
You know what? Now you just heard what I'm getting you for Christmas.
I want the Trumpy bear. Do you know the Trumpy bear?
Yes, I'm aware of it, but no, it's not on first of the list.
So it was a teddy bear with a comb over. And so it had a, brown teddy bear, cute little teddy bear with a comb over, a blonde comb over.
You got that, and then he also gave you his sneakers. Didn't he come up with sneakers too or something?
But the Trumpy bear. But I don't think he designed the Trumpy bear. I think someone
probably did that.
So my kids always got a kick out of that commercial, the Trumpy bear. Effective July 4th, 2026. So you got to wait till July 4th. This is dumb. They pass a law, and then they wait till 2026. Parents and others can contribute up to a total of $5,000 per year on behalf of a child. Contributions by employers and nonprofits are also permitted. Accounts for babies born between January 1, 2025, And December 31, 2028, this I believe he got from Elon, will be seated, or was it Ted Cruz? One of these was Ted Cruz and one of these was Elon, because Elon's big on we have to repopulate. Will be seated with a one-time government contribution of $1,000. So Jim, Rich, maybe you could have a baby between January 1, 2025 and December 31, 2028. A one-time government contribution of $1,000. Earnings are tax deferred until distribution. So the Trump accounts are new. They were calling them MAGA accounts, and then I believe Ted Cruz, the creator of the Trump account, said we're gonna call it the Trump account. I don't know why he didn't call it the Cruz account if he came up with it. So maybe to win re-election, I don't know. So IRAs, traditional IRAs. So we'll go over some of these alphabet soups of investing. You have the IRA, the Roth IRA, now the Trump account, the 529, the ESA, the HSA, and the ABLE account, or the ABLE account. We'll talk about those when we return, but during the break, call my office right now, 888-988-JOSH. I will give you my book, Retirement Reality Check, when you call us, and schedule and keep your no obligation legendary retirement game plan review, where we go over, is your portfolio protected from in-laws, outlaws, creditors, predators? Do you have asset protection strategies, income tax strategies, income planning strategies, and more? Call us now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. We'll be back after these messages.
Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
We're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback, taking your calls. We're going to talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We're going to talk about whatever questions you have. Richard, do you have the 2-minute drill prepared yet?
I certainly do. And are you ready for the 2-minute drill?
So back by popular demand, although I think we only had one person say they liked it. So
Hey,
So
you know
is
what?
the
A good thing only takes one person.
2-minute drill. Go ahead.
Alrighty, so based on the topic of being the financial industry, and you are the number one and only financial quarterback, based on all the strategies that are out there, and as the listeners hear, it could be that Swiss cheese of so many choices. The word is risk tolerance. How does one generally consider what risk tolerance they should be? In a general comment, you have 2 minutes to address that word.
Okay, risk tolerance. Well, that's kind of a boring word. I think the better way to describe it is, what is the amount you are not willing to lose? And a lot of what sometimes people call risk capacity. But here's the thing, there's something called risk premium. So if you really want to make the market returns long term, the market averages between 7 and 10%, depending on who you're looking at. The CSRP, which I think stands for Chicago, University of Chicago Securities Research Pricing or something like that. Basically, if you were to be 100, if you were a baby born in 25 and just did nothing for 100 years and woke up, your long-term compounding would be 10%. But in the middle of those periods, there are very troubled times, like 1929 to 1945, like 1962 to early 80s, like 2000 to 2010. Those were the three periods that were really a lost period for equities. And everybody's always worried about that, right? I'm worried about it. You're worried about it. You're worried, when is the shoe going to drop? When's the market going to crash? And then it crashes in April, and then you sell everything, and now it's up again. Market is up considerably this year if you did nothing. However, if you panicked and got out because of the Trump trade war, maybe you're regretting it. So I believe risk tolerance should really be replaced by what is the amount you don't want to lose. Now, generally speaking, there are 5 risk tolerances, in my opinion. Somebody can be conservative, moderate aggressive, or aggressive. And I think if you add too many, I've seen these where, they have 100 different profiles. But I think there are generally 5 types of people. Someone who's conservative. Met with somebody yesterday. I was asking the question, how much do you want in a sure thing or a maybe? Just to gauge, what are they looking for? And they said, I want 20% in a maybe, 80% in a sure thing. That person would be conservative, in my opinion. When I say sure thing assets, I'm talking cash, CDs, bank products, fixed insurance products, not variable, and treasuries, government bonds. So if somebody's really conservative, you want to have some money in the market just for some ability to fight inflation. So that's why you're not 100% safe. You want to be about 80% in those more conservative vehicles, 20% in more growth-oriented. Then somebody says, it's a little too conservative to me. I want to make a little bit more, but I'm still generally on the conservative spectrum. That's what we call moderate conservative. That's 40% in equities, 60% in those conservative vehicles. Then you tick up a little bit more. Moderate is where most people kind of fall. Right? Everyone wants to be called moderate. They don't want to be called extreme. So 60% in equities, 40% in those conservative vehicles, moderate aggressive, 80%. That's where you're generally aggressive, but you want to have that 20% to kind of nab if there's an emergency, like my volatility buffer concept. And then aggressive, in my term, I don't believe in investing in stupid things like that you don't understand. So when I say aggressive, I mean predominantly U.S.-based equities, some international issues, generally in publicly traded stock and ETFs. We are going to talk about the government allowed people to invest in private equity a little more. I don't know if you saw this and why that generally, I have no problem with the government allowing you to invest in what you want in, but it may not be a good thing for you. We'll talk about that as well. So I hope that helps with the risk tolerance 2-minute drill. Went a little longer than 2 minutes, but hey.
I'll tell you what, Josh, that was fantastic.
Brief. No, you did a great job. You were
I think, if I may, and we'd want to just wrap this up because
when
that
we
was
return, we'll be back with Richard's concluding thoughts and your questions at 800-321-0710. We'll be back after these messages.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
We're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback, taking your calls on all matters financial at 800. If you want to talk to us, call me about any and every financial question you have, 800-321-0710. Next up, we have Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Financial Quarterback. Just to follow up on that great answer, it was a little longer than 2 minutes, but well worth and well educated. So now that the life expectancy has certainly shifted, because everyone kind of geared towards that 62 on being able to collect Social Security and all that. So with that risk tolerance definition, as a general investor, where should they use, what should they use as a general guideline to say, I should be super conservative, I should be super risky, whatever age? So the next 2-minute drill question is, what's a rule of thumb on where they should be on that range, what you described?
I think with people living longer, it really depends on the person. I think equities, there used to be something called the rule of 100, which is kind of dumb. You take your age and you minus it from 100. So if you're 70, you should have 30% in stocks and 70% in bonds. I think a general rule of thumb with people looking into the equity markets, and if you're planning for a 30-year retirement, you want to have maybe half in equities and half in fixed things, or 60% in equities and growth-based and 40% in safe stuff. But when I mean that is not the 60-40 rule. The old 60-40 portfolio is you have so much in stock funds, so much in bond funds, and you set it and forget it. The world is changing now. You can't do that. And people are living a long time. But what I mean is, within the 60% that is deemed equities, you have high-quality issues, stocks, ETFs, managed strategically, tactically, or on a dividend basis. And the 40% that would have been conservative, you put in things that are principal protected, not in bond funds where the principal can still go down. So hope that helps you. We're going to be talking more Big Beautiful Bill and you. There's a lot to talk about, but I really want to hear from you. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, and what's kind of interesting is there's a whole subject of SALT deduction and how you can use it to your advantage. There's now a $40,000 SALT deduction. So it used to be 10,000 SALT, stands for state and local taxes. Now you can get 40K. And then you can even stack that deduction with different trusts and things like that. So some very powerful strategies in light of the Trump tax code. And we'll talk more about that. And we'll talk about any of your questions. There's so much that we want to hear. But I was talking about the IRAs, the Roths, the 529s, HSAs, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about this when we return. But IRAs, you hear about it, but traditional IRAs are the original individual account. These retirement savings accounts allow you to get a tax deduction for contributions for some and tax deferral of earnings for everyone. Anyone with taxable compensation can contribute to an IRA. There's no employer involvement needed. Roth IRAs have been around since 1997 and offer an alternative to the traditional IRA for retirement savings. These accounts, which require earned income to contribute, or you could be a spouse of somebody with earned income, do not offer a tax deduction, but you get tax-free earnings for life. 529s. These are savings plans operated to make it easier to save for educational expenses. Earnings are not subject to federal tax and generally not subject to state tax when used for qualified educational expenses of the designated beneficiary. Talk a little bit more when we return about ABLE accounts, ESAs, and HSAs. But during the break, call me for the Retirement Reality Check. That's 888-988-JOSH. For your no-obligation retirement reality check, we'll audit your portfolio from a standpoint of risk, fees, and taxation. When we return, we'll take more of your calls at 800-321-0710. ESAs, educational savings accounts, are also used for education, and they can be used for K through 12 and post-high school education. They're similar to 529 in that they're tax-free for qualifying educational expenses. So up next, we'll take your calls at 800-321-0710 and call me during the break, 888-988-JOSH. I would love to meet with you in person or over Zoom. 888-988-JOSH.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York. The #1 preset on your car radio and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. Free. Never sounded so good.
We hear you, New York, loud and clear.
One mayor, 5 boroughs. It's a big responsibility.
It's a big election. I'm following it on WOR.
Always the voice of New York. 710 WOR.
An iHeart radio station.
It's 80 degrees at 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Bill Trefero. Disgraced former Representative George Santos has reported to a federal prison to serve out his sentence for wire fraud and identity theft. ABC's Olivia Rubin reports.
Former Congressman George Santos arrived at FCI Fairton on Friday. That's a medium security prison in southern New Jersey. He pled guilty last year to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. And the disgraced former Long Island congressman, of course, was elected in 2022. Santos later admitting to fabricating some of his biography, including where he worked and went to school, and committing some of those crimes to get him into office. He, of course, was ultimately expelled from Congress.
A Bronx mother is under arrest, accused of trying to cover up her son's murder of his girlfriend. Andrew Whitman has that story.
Nydia George was charged Friday with murder and manslaughter. Police think her son, Robert Strother, tortured and killed his girlfriend, Princesa Encarnacion Soto, tying her to a bed and stabbing, beating, and hitting her with a hammer. Her body was found in a stairwell inside the Fordham building Tuesday. Police thought George was just a witness at first, until they found a garbage bag full of bloody clothes inside her apartment. Strother remains at large.
One of the 2 suspects in last weekend's shooting in Washington Heights that left an off-duty Border Patrol agent hurt is being held without bail. Kristen Marks reports.
Christiane I. Barbaroa faced a judge in federal court in Lower Manhattan Friday. Investigators say he was the getaway driver fleeing with the alleged gunman, Miguel Francisco Mora Nunez, on a moped and dropping him off at the hospital. After the officer was shot in the face in Fort Washington Park, they believe the violence was triggered by a robbery attempt and that Nunez robbed a woman of her phone shortly before that. The officer returned fire, striking Nunez. Both suspects are from the Dominican Republic and are in the U.S. illegally. Nunez has a lengthy rap sheet, and both were ordered to leave the country in the past.
Millions of Americans will be under a heat alert this weekend. The most intense heat moved to the northeast on Friday as the region is seeing feel-like temperatures in the upper 90s. Today, it's the mid-Atlantic that'll be feeling the heat, feel-like temperatures in the triple digits. In sports, the Phillies beat the Yankees 12-5, rematch this afternoon in the Bronx. And the Mets win a late one on the West Coast. They beat San Francisco 8-1. The two playing again tonight.
Here's your WOR Weather Channel forecast. Cooler air will settle in on this Saturday with sunshine and a high close to 85. And then clouds will increase this evening with a few showers and thunderstorms overnight as the low drops to 73. A wet Sunday with showers and thunderstorms likely tomorrow in the high near 81. And then dry and warmer starting off the week on Monday with sunshine and a high close to 91. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Next news, 11 o'clock, bulletins at once. Wake up with Menti in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m. on Monday. I'm Bill Trefiro on 710 WOR.
Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jelinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jelinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jelinski.
We're back. We got no tax on tips. What does that mean for you? No tax on overtime, no tax on car loan interest. What does that mean for you? We talked a little about the deduction for seniors. We'll talk about no tax on car loan interest and more. So give us a call, 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, no question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. So let's talk about no tax on car loan interest. Effective for 2025 through 2028. Individuals may deduct interest paid on a loan used to purchase a qualified vehicle, provided the vehicle is purchased for personal use and meets other eligibility requirements. Leases do not qualify. I don't even know. I thought somebody yesterday was a lease. I don't recommend leases. Do you guys lease your cars?
I do.
I don't.
I generally don't recommend it because you always go over the mileage.
Oh, yeah. Coming here
You
back
go
and
over
forth.
the mileage? Rich?
Usually, yeah, but it was the choice of leasing some. First, I get bored, number one, of vehicles. Two, I want something super dependable. I tried to buy and own the whole philosophy. It's much better, but I got burnt on a vehicle I bought, and I wound up paying 3 times the amount I paid for it in repairs. So I got truly broke. I'm scarred. I want to get in, push the button, and I want it to work and still be under warranty.
Yeah, but what happens if you go above the mileage?
Yeah, the vehicle, and not to identify specifically, is they'll roll it in if you just swap
they
into
will.
the same vehicle. You don't get
they'll
burnt.
roll it into the next
They'll
lease.
roll it.
I've-
So
yeah, done
I
that.
committed on making that monthly payment forever, knowing that when I get into the vehicle, I push the button, it starts, non-issue, and in 3 years I get to choose something else.
Swap it out.
Yep, that's it. Is it the right, wrong, or indifferent? For me, it becomes a mental thing and a security because, again, I told you I got burnt real bad. Every time I turned around, it was 2,000 here and another 1,000 here, and it's just forget it. Not
Because you
dealing
didn't
with
buy
that.
a Japanese car.
Yeah, and you know what? Truth valid. Truth be told, you're right.
I mean,
You know? Hey, God bless America and all the above, but hey, they do some stuff right. There is no question about it, boy. Truth to be told.
Yeah, I mean, they're always one of the things that I learned interviewing thousands of middle-class millionaires over the last 20 years, probably over 10,000 interviews. The wealthiest middle-class people generally wore the same clothes for many years, and they washed them, but they didn't get the the latest and greatest fashion stuff. I do, thanks to a dear listener friend who buys me new ties, but they didn't waste money on clothes. They didn't waste money on cars, but they generally always had a Honda or a Toyota. Isn't that crazy?
That's true.
And why? Because they last forever. I mean, I remember my first car helped me really amass a ton of savings. But you're right. My first car was like a Hyundai from my brother. It was free. I had to tie the muffler on with a wire hanger.
I went through that. Yep.
But it was free. So that was my first.
Free is for
my
me.
My second car was a Ford Escort that David got me. And I will tell you, it was a nicer Ford Escort. It was beautiful and new to me. It was a
How long did it
Ford
last?
Escort wagon. It did not last longer than a few weeks because I got in a bad accident and then it got totaled. But I didn't like how I felt like the brakes gave out. So I'm like, this is it. You talk about horror stories. I said, I'm going to make the car payments and do a 5-year loan and buy a Honda Civic. And that was the car that started the Financial Quarterback's road to financial success. And I'll talk more about that and more. Next up, we have Peter. Go ahead with a question on everybody's mind. Hello.
I want to thank you, first of all, for the wonderful program you have.
Thank you.
And now I have a very strange situation. I'm a 76-year-old man who has worked for 60 years. I have no college education. But I've always worked 2 full-time jobs. And this current year, I noticed that, overtime, people might get a break, but of course I won't because I have 2 full-time jobs. I don't work any overtime. I've always had 2 full-time jobs. I am collecting since age 70 Social Security right now, which is about $53,000 a year. So I don't believe I get any break on Social Security either. I have $1.7 million in my 401k that I've saved over the years. And I'm thinking about retiring. And I want to know, should I retire, first of all, because I'm in an extremely high tax bracket. I don't know if it's worth it for me to continue. And if I do retire, since I don't have a financial advisor, I should get one, I guess. And what sort of plans should I be making? Can you analyze all of that and give me some advice?
Yes, that's exactly what we do in the legendary retirement game plan. So call us at 888-988-JOSH. But I'll give you some tips. One, call us, 888-988-JOSH. We have a software system where you put all your data in. It's all confidential. If you choose not to work with us, it's fine. You keep it. And it's a portal. And with the portal, you get a spreadsheet of the income you're receiving now after taxes. And then what you need, you feed it your expenses. Tell us your expenses. And then if your expenses, do you know what your expenses are and what your income is now after taxes?
Yeah, approximately, sure.
And about how much?
You want those numbers?
I mean, they'll give you a rough estimate,
My gross pay right now is, with Social Security is about $260,000. My taxes on that are a little over 40% of that amount of money.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely ways if you retire and you convert. So one, you don't have any active income. You have 1.7 million plus Social Security. What happens is, if you construct an income plan, we construct an income plan for you. But on that 1.7 million, if you live on, 5%, 4% of that plus Social Security, if that meets your expenses, you're going to be in a like 150 grand tax bracket. You start to get all of these different deductions. We try to drive your income lower from a tax perspective. You could go from paying 40% to paying like 15%, state and federal. So the new Trump tax code could really benefit you if you retire. So you could go from working 2 jobs to not working and have no drop in quality of income or quality of life. Your income that you show is going to be less because being above the brackets you're above, you're getting hit with all these taxes. IRMA and this and that. So your take-home pay will probably be the same as if you retire and have an income plan. I hope that helps you. But it's basically
impact.
Oh, go ahead.
Work part-time after I retire?
You could, but we want to model that out.
Okay.
So for example, let's say you have 1.7 million in IRAs, and you know how much you need in retirement or no?
To be honest, I don't actually need all of that money. I give quite a bit to my children and grandchildren, so I'm certainly well above any needed threshold.
So if you got 5% distributions off your 1.7 million, that's 85 grand. If you and your spouse, if you're married, make 60 grand combined in Social Security, that's 145. That puts you under the 150 threshold.
I'm widowed, actually. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about your loss. That also affects you because not only emotionally, spiritually, and relationally, you're in a higher tax bracket because you're single. And they don't really tell people that really harms them financially when you become a widow. You don't kind of realize that on your taxes because then the thresholds for your single are, so that's, for example, one of the reasons why you're paying so much in taxes. So we could work in a strategy to show less income, but you still have the same quality of life. And you can do that with a retirement simulator tool that will give you for free if you schedule and keep your no obligation review at 888-988-JOSH. But it's a simple function of if your expenses are not that high, which you're telling me they're not, you just live on what you need from your IRAs after Social Security takes into account. We give you an income plan, and you probably go from paying 40% in tax to maybe 15, 20 bracket. Probably cut your taxes in half because you're showing too much in income. Now, you could work a part-time job, but that may, are you over the age where you have to take RMDs or no?
No. I'm 76 years old.
Okay,
but
so
I'm still working full time.
Okay,
and,
so you have the still working exception.
Right.
But that won't be too bad because your IRA income from the RMDs will replace the income at your job. So you could definitely benefit from a review. So yeah, I'd love to meet with you.
Could you give me that number again, the 888 number again?
Sure, 888-988-5674.
Okay, Josh.
Well, great
Once
to
again,
meet you. And
thank you for a wonderful
sorry
program.
about your loss. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so we'll take more of your calls at 800-321-0710 and call me at 888-988-JOSH. But that's the thing, a lot of you reach a certain age. Peter 76, there's other people, you start reaching a certain age, and it might be best for you to retire because you have RMDs. Now, he's kind of taking advantage of the still working exception. But you get to a point where, enjoy the last 10, 20 years of your life. Now, working's great. I enjoy to work. Most people enjoy working. But you may want to take extra trips. You may want to see the world. Where would you go if you could go anywhere you want to go?
I wouldn't go anywhere without you, Josh.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's
it's a
little
pleasure
creepy.
to work with you each
Well,
and every
thank you.
Saturday morning.
Well, that's wonderful. No, but where would you go if money were no object? What place would you visit before you die? Think about that, and go there. And that's the thing. You reach a certain point in your life where you have enough saved. You can take that trip to Alaska. Take that trip to Iceland.
Josh, this is really a good time for you you should just really break down the all heart, no regrets, because...
Yeah, let's do that when we return. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. And call us, 888-988-JOSH during the break. I would love to meet you for the all heart, no regrets, legendary retirement game plan. We'll be back after these messages.
Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org. Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check.
Okay, we're back. Richard had a comment on the all heart, no regrets theme. Go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, the all heart, no regrets says a lot. I'm going to let you break it down. But, we touched base with the 2-minute drill, kind of the longevity of people living so much longer with the, goodness of science and all that things that they're able to do now, and people have so many choices on how to save for retirement and the strategies, but yet, just as the caller indicated, how much do I take and live on? Do I live conservatively? And your thought on, people, the average, all the interviews that you had, they were conservative, having the same clothes, having that, pinching pennies throughout the years. When it
wasn't necessarily pinching pennies. It's buying, it's like buying quality clothes that last a long time. Think, Brooks Brothers or LL Bean. LL Bean used to be a favorite clothier of wealthier people, because what would happen is if you broke your LL Bean shirt, could return it, get a new one.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
They've since stopped that.
Oh, that's why we don't know that.
We're violating that in the last year. No, they only ended it like a year ago. I used to go to LL Bean for that reason. I am no longer an LL Bean customer, because you got to stand behind your products. I don't mind paying a little more for something, but what I mean is, there was a book called The Millionaire Next Door. And I will tell you from my experience, The Millionaire Next Door, it wasn't that they were cheap on their car. They bought the Honda Toyota, which is a little more than the American made typically, but they last, 300,000 miles. And when you need a major repair, I remember when I had my Honda, it was like $1,500 or a couple grand. Maybe you pay in the 5th or 8th year of the car. And I saved a lot of money because I didn't have car payments for those. So the first 5 years I had car payments. The next 5 years I didn't. I just banked that money.
So with that said, the comment of all heart, no regrets. So somebody lives that conservatively, buying quality stuff, commendable. And now they're at a point, just like that caller, in his 70s, substantial amount saving, still making over 200 grand. What can you express with your, brand of all heart, no regrets? When can they officially let their hair down and, satisfy a dream, maybe get that, that marquee item that they've always wanted, but it wasn't practical? It's hard to say. What do you say that?
Sometimes it depends on what's right for that person. I think some people enjoy working for the camaraderie, the relationships. I think you get to a certain point in your life and we want to get you to retirement if that's something you desire. Maybe you have a hobby. Maybe you want to surf. Maybe you want to golf more. Maybe you want to spend more time with the grandkids. So many of these times, the people acquire this amount of money because they don't need certain things. They're content. Contentment is a real gift. But maybe it's taking the kids or grandkids on a special getaway. Maybe it's going on a missions trip to volunteer to a certain area of the world or the country. So for everyone, retirement's different. I think you get to a certain place, and this caller was sensing that, where he had enough saved, he's getting slammed with taxes. I might as well retire, enjoy my grandkids more. Been through a lot, lost maybe you lost your spouse, and time to. So letting the hair down may not be buying a Ferrari. It may just be enjoying your life. To everyone, that's different. And that's the beauty of a retirement plan advisor. When you build a plan, and it's not merely like a self, if you don't want to do it with us, fine, do it with somebody else. But you need to do a couple things. You need to count the costs. You need to learn your expenses. Take an inventory of what your wants are, not just your needs. What do you truly want out of life financially? Because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So do all of the things you want to do today. And then you want to be responsible, so you don't want to retire without counting the costs of retirement, the expenses. And you got to think about healthcare expenses. Healthcare expenses are the biggest expense in retirement. And many people underestimate what a live-in nurse would cost, your last 3 years of life. Who's going to take care of you if something should happen to you in your older age? So before you retire, you want to count the costs. You want to analyze the taxes. You want to analyze your income. You want to analyze, how much should be for long-term growth vehicles and what the tax strategy is. And we've a great program called the Retirement Pressures Program, where we will kind of take you on a test drive of what retirement would look like. What about, a lot of people are ravaged due to inflation, right? Like they don't have a real sense of what inflation will do to their money. So,
Josh, I do want to say that was a very passionate, all heart answer, and it was great insight. Great
thank
job.
you. So
Truth.
we're going to go to the callers at 800-321-0710. If you have a question, 800-321-0710. We're talking about the Trump tax code. I see this report, sort of fake news. Tesla Cybertruck faces a dramatic price correction in the used vehicle market as dealer inventories climb. I have not seen this. Like I've been looking to get a Cybertruck on sale.
No, don't
Jim,
get one. Don't get a
Tesla.
Cybertruck.
I want a Cybertruck, Jim.
And I'm not driving it.
The newer version that came out, or the older?
The newer one, so that the kinks are out of it. Teslas are sort of like buying a cell phone, right? That's the one negative. They have interesting things like, the doorknob, the door will like come out and not go back in.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing is, but think about this. Cybertruck has a 366-mile range. You have a 6x4 bed, so literally we could fit your body in the back, Jim.
I could sleep in the truck.
A 5-star safety rating.
5-star. It looks like a tin box.
You know you're going to be washing that, right?
And
yeah.
No. He'll be
I'm
driving.
I'm more interested in the diner he built.
He'll go through who built the diner? Elon?
Yeah, it's a Tesla diner. Didn't you hear about that?
No. We'll have to. An 11,000-pound towing capacity, goes 0 to 60 in 2.6 miles. And the beauty of it is you got full self-driving if you want, which is really, I miss it. For some reason, my Tesla disabled the driving. I don't know if I was a bad driver, but you know, that really makes you safer. Although when you take it off, it makes you less safe.
Oh my goodness.
So, I'm a big fan of the car, and I mean my first Tesla, it's still kicking. 8 years, got a lot of kinks though. I would tell you, Tesla's probably not a bad car to lease, like because after 3 years you're done with it,
Yes.
right?
Well, I wouldn't want the expense. I mean,
Oh my gosh, the
no.
tires on that car?
Oh yeah.
Forget it.
How long does
It
it
goes
take to
through a lot of
charge
tires.
this new truck? How long does it take? Did it tell you how long it takes to charge? My thing is if you
It charges overnight if you have a home
no,
charger.
well, here's my going camping or anything. I pull in, get gas, boom, I'm out of there. How long are you sitting there waiting to recharge? That's my only
I've done that.
pushback.
10 minutes?
No,
Yeah.
you hit it in
20?
a half hour.
Half hour, and there's
40
no way
minutes.
I'm not doing.
On
I
the
want it,
superchargers, yeah.
What?
Half
What kind
hour?
of
Yeah.
supercharger? Now it's like 10 minutes. The one in
10 minutes is reasonable, but if you're
the
talking a half
supercharger
hour,
in Eatontown or Tinton Falls is like 10 minutes now.
For a full charge?
No, I mean for like 150
Yeah.
miles. They
Yeah,
give you a
yeah,
little
that's right.
juice.
They give you a little-
That's what you got to do. You got to do a little juice here and then. Yeah, it doesn't let you charge beyond a certain amount. It starts like throttling you.
I'm a fan if locally they're just not ready for that true long distance purposes with all
The
that.
only thing I like about the car is the acceleration and the de-acceleration. You don't have to use the brake.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I like about
Yeah,
it.
Jim does not like Teslas. And I get why you don't like it, but to me it's very safe. And think about this. Think about how cheap it is too. I'm on the website. The Model 3, guess how much it is? $299 a month.
How much you got to put
Lease.
down? It's all those little fine
Okay, I'm
print.
sure. Yeah. We're not.
Whatever. It's not.
Yeah, but
a
what's the
te-
resale value on these cars? Like,
I don't know. My
Who
car
buys it?
lasted 8 years. I didn't need to resell it.
No, but
what
who
kind of
buys
car
used ones?
lasts 8 years? 10 years with very little.
A Honda Civic that you
Yeah,
provided?
other than the Honda Civic.
Oh,
The Honda Civic.
Something made in.
That's great. Okay. Well, so anyway, some killer deals. I mean, I'm looking at the model for your lease. Look at this lease, $299 a month, and you get a $7,500 incentive.
No, I'm
for a
liking
lease.
that. I'm liking that.
I would do 15,000 miles, not 10. So it's $352 a month with 3,000 down. That's not a bad, and you get a new car every 3 years. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's right up my alley.
yeah, and then you got to find where the charges are, and you got to make sure you don't go over the.
That's
Yeah.
my pushback.
Yeah. Well,
That's
you
my
gotta.
pushback.
There's more gas stations than charges.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think? Would you buy the new Tesla Cybertruck?
Great question.
But apparently nobody likes it anymore because Elon Musk opened a diner in Hollywood.
I told you.
You're kidding
You
me.
and Tom should go there.
What's the highlight?
What could go wrong? I went to find out.
Is
The
it
tech
a- is-
billionaire's retro futuristic drive-in and Tesla charging station has long lines, plenty of glitches, and
think?
adoring fans.
Did they
There's a lot of glitches. And then, you know what it is, though? If that's what the future is like, I want no part of it. You know what's interesting? And I do think the future of driving will be like that. Like the government won't allow you to drive on your own. If you're
Yeah.
deemed to be like a bad driver, you're a hazard. You're a hazard, Mr. Jelinski. So we're going to throttle you. We're going to give you a governor. We're going
You'll have to.
the robot will alone drive you.
Yeah, in the car. Yeah. Or
But
the
that's, probably better for most people. People are horrible drivers.
carless.
Everybody's
vehicles.
looking at their phone now. I don't
That's
mind.
the big
I don't
kicker.
mind it. Everybody's looking at their phone. There's drunk drivers. There's, I don't approve of any of this, but the point is, it's like you might as well have the robots drive us. I think we should take all the potential of AI and just focus on driving safety. I would be okay with that.
I think there should be
But I don't
a
like the big brother.
mandated to retake a test at a certain point.
I don't like tests.
Okay, this is okay. This just in. From one of my favorite people of all time. She writes, forget the Tesla truck. She used a different word. Before I die, I want to see my guru sitting behind the wheel of a Bentley.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
Loving these most recent Saturday Live programs. That's because she loves when you're on, Jim and
I know.
Richard.
I love her.
New sheriff
But
in
the
town.
Bentley, the problem with my Bentley
Why don't you
is I would get a Bentley, but my kids would
destroy
key
it.
They, you know, the Tesla is like, it's a nice car, but it's, if you would know my 7 children, you know, they're going to like, you know, a bat's going to be scraped up the side.
Yep.
I paid, remember when I got it all redone?
Yep.
And it was scratched up. And how long, Jim?
6 months?
6 months. It was all dinged up again. Looked like, you know, I don't need a car for status. Although a Bentley would look nice. I would agree with you.
I could see you in a Bentley.
But my kids would destroy it. It would have to be like when they're all grown.
I can relate to that because my son, my oldest now, who's 28, when he was 7, I pulled up to work with my commuter, and I just got a brand new Explorer, and he carved his initials
On the paint?
on the paint.
They don't
Back.
do that. It's just like the bike.
So feel my pain.
Yeah, they don't do that. But the beauty of, you know, but you know what I would do just to make this person happy, whom I love? I would rent a Bentley for the day just to go pick her up. She would love that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. She would love that. So, but I just, they're going to destroy it. I'd have to have like a special garage for that car.
You couldn't park the kids in it at
So
all.
my buddy had, yeah, they're going to put all their
No, you
cleats
can't.
on
It
it.
would
It's
have to
just-
be a car you just drive to the office and back.
And what's the point? I don't know.
I
Just, to,
know.
just to look a certain way. I don't know. That's not.
We'll get you a Matchbox
Yeah,
Bentley.
I'll get a Matchbox Bentley. There you go. So we're going to take a short break. And when we do, call me for your no obligation retirement income readiness review. Let's retire you in the next 2 weeks. If you want to retire, but you don't know whether you can, call us at 888-988-JOSH. We will mathematically prove to you that you can retire or can't. Call us now, 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
Jim, give me my phone.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. The government takes away your license now if you are deemed a bad driver. What are you saying, Tom? The point, I guess his point is if you accumulate 12 or more points in New Jersey, it can result in a suspension. In New York, 11 points within 18 months can lead to a suspension. I get that, but those are traffic violations. What I'm saying is if the government allows, let's say, driverless vehicles, they're going to say, okay, you're not going to be suspended, but you got to have the robot drive. What if the robot makes a mistake? Or what if they get a brain? What is that, the singularity when they what if they want to drive? What if they want to speed now? Because they want to feel what it's like to have the thrill of acceleration. So Elon Musk just opened up a Tesla diner in Hollywood, and the line stretched to nearly 100 people on its third day of operation. So I guess Elon's popular now. People don't want to write on his cars anymore. The restaurant has been billed a retro futuristic drive-in. It kind of looks like, for some reason, I'm getting Back to the Future vibes as I look.
Yep.
The restaurant has been billed retro futuristic. You can watch classic films on giant screens, all while charging your Tesla. That takes 30 minutes to charge, according to Jim, 10 minutes.
What type of food does he have there?
It's like a burger, a high-end burger. After months of build-up and I bought a high-end burger one time just like to see, was it worth it? It wasn't. It was like a glorified McDonald's burger. I went to this place in Palm Beach called
Really?
The Breakers. And I said, man, for an $80 burger, this must be the best burger. It wasn't. It was like, blah. I don't know. I'm kidding. It might have been, it seemed like it was $80. It was not, it was not where I'd want to get a burger again. After months of buildup and controversy, the diner had suddenly opened on Monday at 4:20 p.m., the kind of stoner boy joke that Musk is well known for. Hundreds of fans lined up to try burgers in Cybertruck-shaped boxes or take photos of Optimus robots serving popcorn on the roof deck of the gleaming circular diner. But that was the grand opening. Less than 48 hours later, when we visited for lunch, the Tesla diner experience was a less futuristic fantasy than a case study in how to fail with impunity. Many parts of the experience were breaking down. The food was mediocre, and yet the fans were still cheerfully lining up to buy merch. The line to get in the diner was so long, an employee told us, in part because of technical problems. The app that allowed drivers to order from their cars was glitching, so the diner was prioritizing Tesla owners who had to come inside to order instead. This meant that non-Tesla owners in the walk-up line might need to wait as long as 2 to 3 hours before they got food. I expected at least a few people to leave the line immediately, but the only ones who did were 2 families of Tesla owners who went back to order from within their cars. Even if the app didn't work for them, they would still get their food faster. The hierarchy were clear. Things were broken for everyone, but owners of Musk products had to suffer slightly less. I mean, you know what, though? This is where it's like fake news. This person obviously doesn't like Lois Beckett of The Guardian, doesn't like Musk. But what I love is the
menu looks pretty good.
Yeah, the menu actually. What's good on the menu?
I mean, it's got egg sandwiches, breakfast tacos, hamburgers, hot dogs.
The prices were not.
Chicken and waffles, kids' burgers, fries. Doesn't look that bad.
I guess it's the atmosphere. And
Cup
when
of
you go in
Wagyu
there,
beef
that's gonna be the
chili.
whole thing.
Whoa. You want the experience, right?
Epic bacon?
That's what you're going.
Epic bacon. So you would go, Jim?
I would try it. Yeah, I would go just to try the food. I could care about the diner itself, but the food.
But
this is not bad. The menu isn't bad. I didn't expect this from him on the menu side of it.
I mean, but yeah, this article is a hatchet job, though. So I'm not gonna give this woman any more play. But the point is, you know what? Elon's like an American treasure. You know, just the ingenuity and the different ideas. It's pretty cool. So I'll give him that. So I'll give it a. I would go, but I wouldn't wait 3 hours online.
Because it's new, that's why.
Yeah, that's anybody.
Yeah, anybody.
The Tesla burger looks good.
I know. I thought it was going to be fake beef, but it doesn't say that.
It's a prime. The Tesla burger is a juicy diner-style burger with smashed, crunchy edges made from 1/3 pound prime Brant beef with new school American cheese, lettuce, caramelized onions, pickles, and electric sauce on a Martin's potato roll. It kind of sounds like a cross between a smash burger and a Shake Shack burger. So they have a grilled cheese combo, and this is kind of interesting. They have grilled cheese with the crust cut off. It's funny. That's fun. So, it's kind of neat. Is this going to be like a new thing? The Tesla diner?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe there's a franchise.
Maybe there's a franchise. Let's go. Steven has a great question, a question on everyone's mind. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Josh. Hi. With regard to the big, beautiful bill.
Table D, Steve. How you doing? Good to see you.
Okay. The question is, was there ever any kind of thought or consideration given to resurrecting the stretch IRA?
No. Like I knew there would be. You've been listening for many years from back when I prophesied the death of the stretch IRA. And it's sad to see it go, right? But
oh, definitely.
No
I
one.
mean, that doesn't matter to me, to us so much. But it's like, our daughter's got to take it over 10 years.
Yep. And the amount of money the government is going to get by the death of the stretch is a lot more revenue. But the stretch IRA was a beautiful middle-class savings vehicle, almost like a trust for non-super wealthy person. But what ended up happening was there was some article talked about Mitt Romney's $100 million stretch IRA. And for some reason, Paul Ryan and the Republicans and the Democrats turned on the stretch. And the death of the stretch, there were few mourners. But you and I would have gone to the funeral for the stretch IRA.
Well, absolutely. Would have sat Shiva for it too.
Exactly. So and we did, but I knew it was going to be gone. 2010, I did a show on the Obama Green Book, and the Green Book outlines priorities the Internal Revenue Service deems as ways the government can get revenue without raising taxes. And one of the top things was killing the stretch IRA. The other thing was the Rothification of all 401ks and IRAs, which may come about soon enough. But the stretch IRA was a great vehicle. Now you have a 10-year payout rule, and we should talk about that a little bit more in the next segment, because what do you do if you have a large IRA? Do you stretch it? Do you accelerate some of the spending now? Because now with the new Trump code, you got to be careful. You can't take out too much out of the IRA or you can lose all these deductions. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH during the break for a legendary retirement game plan. And I'll talk more about the stretch IRA. Maybe you don't realize what it is. It was a former estate planning strategy that allowed non-spouse beneficiaries, so think your kids or grandkids, of inherited IRAs to withdraw funds over their life expectancy, which resulted in maximizing long-term growth, minimizing annual taxes. However, the Secure Act, passed in 2019, curtailed this practice for most people and introduced a 10-year rule. So your heirs have 10 years to pay out that money. While the stretch is largely gone, there are some people who can still utilize a version of it, including spouses, disabled or chronically ill individuals, and minor children of a deceased account holder. So we'll talk more about that when we return. And thanks so much, Steve. Always love to hear your voice. Give us a call.
Take care.
Take care. 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Maybe it seems higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. So your number one asset for most of you is your IRA or deferred tax vehicle. So let's say you have, I don't know, we'll just use the old $2 million number. $2 million when you die in your IRA. Your heirs have to have it spent by the 10th year after death, or else they got to pay all the tax on the $2 million in the 10th year. So you generally, they do a 10-year payout. So for round numbers, it's $200,000 a year plus whatever growth goes on your kid's tax return. And that accelerates the tax due. So in a 40% tax bracket, let's say your kid does well, state and federal, $200,000, you know, you're paying you're paying like $80,000 a year in taxes every year for 10 years on money you've never paid taxes on. So the government really wanted to raise revenue. Some said, you know, the stretch is a victim of the deficit, but they don't really care about the deficit in other ways. So why do they have to kill one of our favorite middle-class tax vehicles? I'd much rather have the stretch alive than all these little, you know, $1,000 Trump accounts and this and that. But it's done. No one's mourning for it except me. So what do you do if you have a large IRA? Well, one of the things you do is you take money out up to these new thresholds, 150, 250, 75 if you're single, and you do Roth incremental conversions. The other thing you could do is look at buying a life insurance to pay the tax due when you die, so your heirs don't get saddled with all this income tax. The other thing you could do is focus on building wealth. Focus on building wealth, not just in IRAs, but also in tax-favored vehicles like life insurance, Roths, stocks that don't pay a dividend, municipal bonds. So asset location strategies, where you put different vehicles, is more important now than almost what you have in them. Both important. You want to look at the tax strategy and you want to look at the investments. And that's why you should call us at 888-988-JOSH. I'll give you my book, Retirement Reality Check, as a free gift. So we talked about cars and this no tax on car loan interest is something that Detroit likes. But what's interesting is this is another deduction that phases out. So if you make over $200,000 and you're a joint filer, you don't get the car loan interest deduction. If you make $100,000, if you're single or more, you don't get it. To qualify for the deduction, interest must be paid on a loan that is originated after December 31st, 2024, used to purchase a vehicle, the original use of which starts with the taxpayer. Used vehicles don't qualify. For a personal use vehicle, not business, and secured by a lien on the vehicle. The qualifying vehicle loan is later refinanced. Interest paid on the refinance amount is generally eligible for the deduction. A qualifying vehicle is something with a GVWR of less than 14,000, and that has undergone final assembly in the United States. So it's not made in America, it's final assembly. The location of final assembly will be listed on the vehicle information label attached to each vehicle on a dealer's premises. Alternatively, taxpayers may rely on the vehicle's plant of manufacture as reported in the VIN number to determine whether a vehicle has undergone final assembly in the U.S. So it's not made in America, it's assembled in America. So you can actually go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration VIN decoder website and see if the car is eligible. And taxpayer eligibility deduction is available for both itemizing and non-itemizing the taxpayer VIN of the qualified vehicle for any year in which the deduction is claimed. It must be included on your tax return. So pretty interesting deduction, but I don't know, the max deduction is $10,000 of interest. So if you buy some super luxury car, you're kind of capped. It's sort of like a car for regular people. And then the same thing with no tax on tips. Effective for 2025 through 2028, employees and self-employed individuals may deduct qualified tips received in occupations that are listed by the IRS as customarily receiving tips on or before December 31st, 2024. So they were listening to us. Remember when we said we would start classifying your income as a tip, Jim?
Yeah.
Yep. They were listening. See, they listen. They're listening. I don't know who they is, but it was basically, it was just no tax on tips. And now it has to be actually listed on this IRS website as customarily receiving tips. Which kind of is, so it's really just, Uber drivers,
waiters, and
DoorDash, waiters, waitresses, stuff like that. The maximum deduction is $25,000. For self-employed, the deduction may not exceed the individual's net income without regard to this deduction. So, again, there are these conditions. Like I'm saying, this is kind of like Swiss cheese. The deduction phases out if you're making over 300 grand filing joint or 150 single. But, still helpful for a lot of people. Basically, this tax cuts package, very good for people making 150 or under. You might say, well, that's not me. I make over 250. I make 260. What is in it for me? Well, what's in it for you is no tax on overtime if you make between 150 and 300 if you're doing follow. But there's other benefits, namely the SALT deduction, namely the ability to do accelerated depreciation. We can take massive write-offs if you buy real estate. Very good for people investing in real estate. And one of the things we're pioneering at the Jelinsky Advisory Group is, and Wealth Quarterback, our registered investment advisory firm, is how do you link different elements of the tax code with your IRAs to mitigate taxes? How do you, one thing is you could look at charitable deductions as a way to drive taxes lower. Another thing you could look at is taking RMDs and then using the RMDs to buy maybe a real estate item and then lower your taxes by increasing your deductions, by increasing the amount you can depreciate. So there's some real benefits if you want to buy maybe an Airbnb or a short-term rental operation or a new building for your business. So Jim, we're moving.
Yes.
So that's not going to be easy, is it?
Never.
So let's say you own a building, okay? So you, and you want to take advantage of the Trump tax code. If you didn't buy the building within the last few months, you got to buy a new building. So what you do is you convert your existing building and you rent it out. And then you go buy the biggest building you can find in the town that you want to conduct business in. And because you're actively involved in that business, you can write off a large portion of the walls with a cost segregation study, of the doors, of the fixtures, the furnishings, FF&E. What is that? Fixtures, furnishings, and
F.
Is it E, electricity? I don't know, but I know F and F is fixtures, furnishings. But basically, on, let's say, $1 million building, you can maybe get a $300,000 accelerated depreciation benefit, really lowering your taxes considerably. So this is not just for middle-class people. It's also for wealthier people who are looking at real estate. Now, maybe that's not you, but maybe you have a large IRA. You need help converting it to an income plan. Maybe you were appealed by our conversation about retirement and retirement income planning, FF&E, fixtures, furnishing, and equipment, like copiers, things like that. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, for the legendary retirement game plan, 888-988-JOSH.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jelensky Advisory Group. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jelensky or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at jelensky.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification,